your sticky mat against the wall and place a chair on the sticky mat with the back of the chair against the wall. Put your hands on the edge of the seat of the chair and step your feet back for the chair variation of downward facing dog. Bend your knees and lift your hips and start to pull your pelvis up and back away from the push of the hands into the chair. Think of the backs of the legs lifting up, the sitting bones and buttocks lifting up. Press your parallel feet into the ground. Lift your toes, which will help you lift the arches of the feet. And from there, lengthen the legs all the way up to the height of the hips. You can keep your knees bent here, or you can start to straighten the legs. Just keep the buttocks lifting up and back. Elongate and lengthen through the armpits, through the waist. Press your hands forward into the seat of the chair and pull the outer hips back. Pull the inner thighs back. Pull the very upper portion of the inner thighs back. Again, pull the length of the legs up into the height of the hips. Pull your pelvis up and back to create length and space in your trunk. Enjoy the stretch and smooth and steady your breath here. And then lean forward into the chair and step your feet forward to come out of the pose. Now we'll do another version of downward dog with hands on blocks. So place your yoga blocks against the wall on the sticky mat, about shoulder distance apart, and be on hands and knees here with your hands on blocks. And then slowly step up to down dog. Lift the buttocks up and back. Press your hands into the blocks and think of pulling your upper inner thighs up and back away from the push of the hands. Keep your knees bent if that makes it easier for you to keep your buttocks lifted. Think of the backs of your legs getting longer and broader, and lift up also through the fronts of the legs. Lift the toes to wake up the muscles of the feet. And pull your outer hips back as much as the inner thighs are pulling back. Think of your pelvis pulling back and up off of the rib cage. Pull your rib cage up and back off of the shoulders. Lengthen and stretch through your arms. Be active in your limbs. Breathe here as you think of elongating the spine. Steady inhale, steady exhale. Again, find a press of the hands onto the blocks. Find the full height of the legs. And then lower your knees down and rest. And now come to your feet for a Parshvottanasana variation at the wall. Please step your left foot forward and right foot back and square your hips. Make sure that your legs are hip distance apart, so it's not like being on a tightrope, but there's some width to the legs. And then lift your arms overhead, stretch your arms to the ceiling, spread your hands and fingers, lengthen the waist. The back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Press the feet down, lift up through the legs, really lengthen up through the legs, and then you'll hinge at the hips to bring your fingertips towards the wall. And then onto the wall. And press the inner edge of your left foot down, that's the front foot, and from that pressing of the foot down, draw up through the left leg and pull the left hip back. That will help you square the hips more and bring the right foot forward, and then be strong in the back leg, full extension through the knees. And then come up, lengthening again through the waist and the arms, and keep that length through the trunk as you lower the arms down. And then we'll switch sides. Now bring the right foot forward and the left foot back. Square the hips. Press the feet down and lengthen up through the legs, energizing the legs here. And now energize the arms as you bring them up overhead. Think of the reach of the arms as a way to lift the rib cage and lift the belly. And then keep this length and engagement in your body as you start to hinge at the hips and take your fingertips onto the wall. Even walk the fingertips up the wall slightly. And then start to relax the spine and the head so you can enjoy this nice stretch through the trunk and also a stretch through the legs. Be extended through the knee joints. Press the inner right foot down to pull the outer right hip back. Pull the left thigh back. Even walk your fingertips up a little bit more. Think of the front of the spine lengthening and breathe here. Steady, smooth breath. Stay engaged as you find earthy, firm legs. Lift the arms up to come off the wall. Lower the arms down and step your feet together. Parshvakonasana at the wall. Have your block ready. Step your feet wide with the outer left foot at the wall. Have your toes pointing in slightly. Be lifted through the arches. Long legs, internal rotation in the thighs, and press your thighs back. Lift up through the front of the spine. Pull your shoulders back and breathe. And then turn your entire right leg out and bend your right knee directly over the midline of the right foot. Place your hand on the block. The block is right at the inside of the right foot, and pull the left arm towards the wall and lengthen your spine. Make sure the right hip, the right buttock, is really underneath you and not behind you. And then lift your left arm to the ceiling and spread wide across your chest. Lengthen the back leg, lengthen through the trunk. And then sweep your arm all the way across, gaze at the top palm, and turn your rib cage open towards the ceiling. Pull that right buttock to the left and underneath you. Breathing here, elongate your whole body. Be very engaged in your legs. Smooth, deep breath. Exhale and look down. With strong legs, inhale and come up, hands on hips. Move the block to the side and make your feet parallel again, toes even a little turned in. Recover with an open chest and then step your feet together. Release your hands from your hips and stretch the arms and the legs. Lift the front of the spine and then turn around for the other side. Place the outer right foot at the wall. Have your toes pointing in slightly. Lift the toes, lift the arches of the feet, lift up through the legs and press your thighs back, inner thighs back. Lift through the front of the spine, shoulders and elbows back. Turn the entire left leg out. And then bend the left knee. Think of that left buttock dropping down and underneath you so the buttock isn't behind you at all. And then place your left hand down on the block on the inside of the left foot. Stretch the back leg. Stretch your right arm towards the wall. And pull the spine away from the reach of the back foot. Pull your spine away from the back foot, elongating it from the bottom of the spine all the way through the cervical spine. Lift the right arm up. Spread wide across the chest, and again invite the left buttock to come underneath you. Think of the whole right side of the body elongating. And then sweep the right arm across and gaze up at the top palm. Be in your whole body. Smooth breathing. Keep that left knee open. Stretch the back leg. Elongate your trunk. Elongate the abdomen. Breathing here. Exhale and look down. And with strong legs, inhale, come on up. Stretching through the legs, hands on hips. And then make your feet parallel and recover with an open chest. And step your feet together. Now for Uttanasana at the wall. Take your back to the wall. Walk your feet forward about a foot away from the wall. Lean your buttocks back. And then hinge at the hips to come forward. Pull the flesh of the buttocks up the wall. And then grab opposite elbows. And using your hands, pull your elbows down and release the weight of your trunk. Think of drawing up through the legs. Lean the pelvis back into the wall. And let your rib cage and your abdomen lengthen down. Let the upper arms lengthen down and relax your head. Keep some energy in the legs. Think of the inner edges of the legs, the insides of the legs lengthening. And now switch the cross of the arms. Reach your chest forward to elongate the belly and release the trunk back down. Let the spine release. Let each vertebrae release one by one. Drawing up through the legs, and let your spine relax and release down, leaning into the wall here. Think of a relaxed, long abdomen, inner thighs gently reaching back. Slide your buttocks up the wall as you release your head down further. And then release the bind from your hands. Bring your hands to your outer hips. Lift the shoulders, lift the chest, and come up. And then take your weight away from the wall. Now move your sticky mat away from the wall. Grab your blocks and we'll do an extended child's pose. So come to your hands and knees. Place your hands on blocks, shoulder distance apart. Bring your big toes to touch, knees a little bit wider than your hips. Pull your hips back and slide your hands with the blocks forward so that your trunk and your arms are very extended. Pull your buttocks back and let your spine elongate here and stay active in your arms. Stretch through the elbows, stretch through the palms. Lift your chest and lengthen your chest forward, elongating the abdomen, and then release your head down again towards the mat. Spread your fingers and pull your outer hips back as much as you stretch your side ribs forward. Breathing here, relaxing into the length, relaxing into the extension. Smooth, steady breath as you stay active, lengthening the front of the spine, lengthening through the armpits. Breathing here. And then slide the blocks back a little bit as you come up to hands and knees and come out of the pose. Now for Urdhva Hastasana with a block and a strap. Place the block between your feet and hold the strap in your hands so that your hands are about shoulder distance apart. The inner feet should be hugging the outer edges of the block. And then reach your arms up overhead. Put a little tension in the strap. Elongate through your whole body, your trunk and your limbs. And think of the thighs pulling back, especially the inner thighs pulling back. You can do a little bit of internal rotation in your thighs, especially at the very tops of the thighs, the roots of the legs. So turn your thighs in and pull the thighs back. Maintaining that, lift the low belly and let the upper buttocks release down. Pull the upper inner thighs back and then lengthen up through the rib cage, through the arms. Connect your feet to the ground. Lift the arches and lift all the way up through the body, through the arms. And then as you exhale, lower your arms down. Next, we'll do Ardha Uttanasana. Place your blocks onto the sticky mat, about 1.5 feet in front of you. Make sure your feet and legs are parallel. Internally rotate the thighs and draw up through the musculature of the legs. Hands on hips. Shoulders back. Lift through the spine. And then hinge at the hips to come forward, placing your hands on blocks. Reach the chest forward and pull the thighs back. Stretch the arms and stretch the legs. Think of the upper inner thighs reaching back as you lengthen the abdomen forward, lengthen the bottom front ribs forward, spread wide through the collarbones. Think of the backs of the legs lengthening and lifting up. Lift the buttocks, even think of spreading the buttocks, and pull the front ribs forward. Lengthen the front of your spine here. Make sure your weight is even on the inner and outer edges of the feet. Think of lifting the inner arches, lift the ankles. And then make your legs taller as you lower your hands down towards your feet, onto the floor, and fold yourself fully down now, coming into Uttanasana, just for a moment. And then hands on hips, lift the shoulders and chest, and come on up. Recover here with an open chest. And now we'll do Uttanasana again. Parallel feet, thighs rolling in. Lengthen up through the musculature of the legs, hands on hips, shoulders back, chest open, and then fold forward. Bring your fingertips to the ground. And just let your head be heavy and relaxed. Draw up through the inner legs and the outer legs. Let your torso relax down. Think of the abdomen receding and lengthening. So no pushing out with the belly, no hardening of the belly. The groins and inner thighs reach back, and the belly recedes and elongates. The sides of the rib cage release down. The entire rib cage releases down as the pelvis lifts up, as the legs get taller. Lift the tail and release the head. Let your elbows bend out to the sides. Be long in the front of your trunk as much as in the back of your trunk. Breathing here as you enjoy the stretch. Stay engaged in your legs. Stay engaged in your mind. And now bring your hands to your hips. Stretch your chest forward, shoulders back to come up. And then release the arms. Grab your strap now for Utkatasana, chair pose. Feet parallel, hip distance apart. Lift the strap overhead and then bend your knees and lower your hips back and down like you're sitting back into a chair. But keep your strap lifting up and back. Think of the shoulder blades firming forward and the arms reaching back, elbows extending. And again, pull the pelvis back and down. You can lift the toes here. Lift the arches of the feet. Bend your knees deeply. And then inhale and straighten the legs. Lift the arms even more up. And then exhale and lower your arms down. You can put the strap to the side now, and we'll do Prasarita Padottanasana, a simple variation. Step your feet wide and turn your toes in. Draw up through the legs. Bring your thighs back, hands on hips, open chest. And then hook your thumbs in front of you and reach the fingertips up. Spread the fingers and the palms wide. Spread the pinky fingers. And let the reach of the arms lift your entire trunk up. Lift the rib cage and the abdomen. Be strong in your legs. Pull the thighs back. Pull the inner thighs back. Let the buttocks relax and release. Connect your inner feet to the ground and lengthen up through those inner legs. Stretch through the arms again and let your head balance right over the tail. As you exhale, lower your arms down. Switch the cross of the thumbs and be firm in your legs as you reach your arms up again. Stretch through your elbows, stretch through your knees. Once again, roll the upper inner thighs internally. Pull the thighs back in space so the pelvis is not shifting forward at all. The pelvis comes back, more in line with the heels. Lift the rib cage three-dimensionally. Breathing here. Feel your feet on the mat. Feel your fingertips spreading and reaching. And lengthen your whole body in between your feet and your hands. Lengthen the outsides of your body and lengthen the sides of your spine. And then exhale and lower your arms down. Hands to hips, shoulders back. And then step your feet together. And now for another version of Prasarita, have your blocks ready and put them on their highest height in front of your mat. And stand in Tadasana, taking your thighs back, lengthen through the spine, energize your arms and your legs. And then hands on hips, step your feet wide, toes pointing in slightly. Again, lift up through the musculature of the legs and pull the thighs back. Don't let your hips sit forward at all. Thighs and pelvis back. Lengthen the waist, lengthen the spine, shoulders back. Inhale and look up, and then exhale and fold forward and bring your hands onto the blocks. Stretch your chest forward here, pull your thighs back, pull your inner thighs back, lengthen through the arms. And then move your right hand and the block that's under your right hand to the center, and take your left arm up towards the ceiling. And twist your spine and rib cage around. Pull your thighs back again. Think of turning the right ribs under and the left ribs open. Even turn the belly. And then exhale and come down, and now move the left hand and block to the center. And lift your right arm up. Stretch the front of your spine, stretch your upper thighs back. And turn the right ribs open as you bring the left ribs under. Spread across the chest. Be long in your spine. Create more length there. As you lower your arms, stay strong and lifted in your legs. And then lower your blocks onto the medium height. Re-stretch the backs of your legs. Re-stretch the chest forward. Bring your right hand and block to the center and lift the left arm up. Open the left ribs. Lift the abdomen up to the ceiling to twist further. Stay even in your legs, even and engaged. Inner feet connecting to the ground. Lower down and switch sides. Left hand and block to the center. Twist to reach the right arm up, opening the right ribs. Lift the abdomen. Stay long and strong in the legs. Pull the thighs back. Pull the chest forward. Breathing here. Exhale and come down. Walk your feet in slightly. Bring your hands to your hips. Keep stretching the chest forward as you come all the way up. Shoulders back. And then step your feet together. And now for Prasarita Padottanasana, classic variation. Step your feet wide, hands on hips, toes turning in slightly. It's nice to line up your heels with the back edge of the mat. You can really see if you're even in your stance. Thighs back, shoulders back, long spine. Stretch your arms out to the sides. Spread your right arm to the right and your left arm to the left. Inner thighs back, long through the waist. Radiate out through your limbs. And then hands back to your hips again. Lengthen the spine even more, shoulders back, look up, and then exhale and fold forward. Make your legs taller as you fold forward, fingertips down. Stretch your chest forward, make your legs taller, and then as you exhale, fold down forward, bringing your hands right between your feet, bending at the elbows. Spread your hands, spread the soles of the feet. Be very alive and long and engaged in your legs, and let your spine release down and let the top of your head come towards the floor. It may touch, it may not. Pull your elbows back towards your shoulders and gently lift the shoulders away from the floor as you release the spine down even more. Lift and broaden the backs of your legs, lift the buttocks. Connect your feet to the ground. Lengthen your legs again. And then walk your fingertips forward. Walk your feet in slightly. Take your hands to hips. Lift your shoulders and elbows. And come up with an open chest. And then step your feet together to recover. Now we'll do a wide malasana. Your feet here will be hip distance apart and squat down. You can place your heels on a blanket if it's difficult for you to have your heels all the way down on the floor. And just let your pelvis relax down between your heels. And you can bring your hands into prayer position here with your knees hugging the outer arms. And just release and relax the buttocks. Now we'll practice Supta Virasana. So get your bolster ready. Spread out your blanket as you see here. Come onto your shins. Bring the top of your head to the floor and pull your calves out to the sides so you can rest your thighs down and your hips down between your feet. Make sure your feet are pointing straight back. And then pull your torso back so that the bolster is supporting you under your rib cage. And then reach your arms up and overhead. Think of the roots of your thighs, the very tops of your thighs, sinking and releasing down. Soften in your groins. Let the pubic bone release down towards the floor. Think of a soft, long belly here, a long abdomen. Stretch your arms back, keep the hands and fingers open. Let your head release back over the bolster and enjoy the length in the front side of your trunk. Long abdomen here. Release the right and left sides of the pubic bone down, softening more and more in the groins. And use your hands for support as you come out of the pose. Lean onto your hands and stretch your right leg back to open the back of the right leg, and then stretch the left leg back to open the back of the left leg. We'll do a stretch now called pigeon. Please start on your hands and knees with a blanket underneath your knees for padding. And pull the right shin forward. And set up so that your right knee, your front knee, is wider than your right hip. Balance on your fingertips here. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back thigh, and make sure that that back thigh is inwardly rotating. So the back of your leg is pointing towards the ceiling and the front of your left leg is pointing down. And then walk your fingertips back. Let your shoulders go back. So the heads of the humerus are really back, massaging the backs of the shoulder sockets. And then lengthen up through the spine. Keep the hips square. Pull the right femur back into the socket. Lengthen through the front of the spine. And then elongate your trunk forward so that you come onto your forearms. Breathe into the backs of your lungs. Be long in the front half and the back half of your trunk. Let the outer left thigh release down. And breathe deeply here. Breathe into the sensations you feel in that right hip. Let your low belly lift and be buoyant. So no hardness or pushing out in the belly. Let your body receive the stretch here. If you can start to elongate through the arms and rest your forehead down on the mat. Again, pull the outer right femur back towards the hip, which will help keep your hips square. Be in your whole body here as you breathe. Breathe into the right hip. Smooth, deep breathing. And start to walk your hands back to come back into the upright pigeon. Shoulders back and chest open. Think of the shoulder blades hugging forward into the rib cage and lift from underneath the collarbones. And then bring your hands down and come back onto hands and knees to switch sides. Now take your left shin forward. Reach your left knee quite wide so your knee is wider than your hip. And then walk your hands back. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back thigh. Make sure your back thigh is internally rotating. And then walk your hands back more, shoulders back more. Lift up through the front of the spine and even look up. Enjoy the stretch of this upright pigeon, lengthening through the sides of the trunk, lengthening through the waist, keeping the hips square here. Be on your fingertips, shoulders back, abdomen long, rib cage lifting, especially in the front. Think of the left femur pulling back into the socket. And then elongate yourself forward to come onto forearms. Release the outer right thigh down. Release the right side of your pelvis down. Pull the outer left thigh back towards the outer hip. Think of a long spine here. Breathe into the front of your trunk. Breathe into the back of your trunk. Breathe into the sensations of your left hip. Smooth breath here, and if you'd like to go deeper, then stretch your arms, walk your hands forward, and rest your forehead down on the mat. Breathe length into your whole body. Stay engaged here as you breathe, as you receive and relax into the sensations. And now start to walk your hands back to come back into an upright pigeon. Bring your hands back towards your hips. Now lift the low belly. Lift up through the lungs, shoulders back. Hips are still square. And then come back into hands and knees. And recover in a neutral position here. Now we'll do a supported fish with 2 blocks and a strap. Set up your blocks as you see here. And then sit on your butt with your back to the blocks. Release your buttock flesh away from your low back, and then lay back on the blocks. The block underneath your shoulder blades will be at the medium height, and then the second block will support your head. Knees bent and feet flat for support. And then grab your strap at shoulder distance apart and pull the arms up and overhead. Make sure that the flesh of your buttocks is really moving down and under you towards the feet, so you can lift the pelvis and adjust that again. And then release the legs down and let your legs be heavy. Let your thighs be heavy. Relax the groins and the inner thighs. Let your pubic bone descend. Lengthen through the spine and stretch through the arms. Stretch the strap away from the top of the head. And breathe length into your whole body here. Long in the elbows and knees and armpits. Long in the abdomen. Relax into the support of the blocks. And let that block under your shoulder blades help teach your chest how to open. Long in the belly here. Breathe length into your whole body. Steady and smooth your breath here. And enjoy this supported extension, this supported back bend. And now bring your arms up and over towards your hips. Bend your knees so your feet can support you, and use your hands to help you come up to sit. And now we'll do Supta Padangustasana. Have your strap nearby and lay down flat on your back. Bent knees, feet flat on the floor. Lift the hips just to release the flesh of your buttocks away from your low back. And then reach your arms overhead. And enjoy the length of the trunk and the length of the extended arms. And breathe here, relaxing into the support of the ground. And then take the strap and loop the strap right over the heel of your right foot. And stretch your right foot up towards the ceiling at around 90 degrees. And if it's too difficult for you to have a straight leg, you can have a bent leg up top. And then start to stretch your left leg out along the floor. And now let your elbows bend out to the sides. Let the spine lengthen. Let the shoulder blades slide down your back. Be long in your whole body and reach up through the right heel. And reach your left leg long as well. Think of the inner left thigh grounding down and pull the center of your right thigh away from your abdomen. So the top half of your right thigh isn't at all crowding your abdomen, but rather the outer right hip pulls away from the right waist, and the top half and the center of your right thigh pulls towards the left foot. And if it feels right, you can really engage through the legs and start to pull the right shin more towards your face. But if you already have a lot of sensation, then just stay at 90 degrees or even stay with a bent right leg. And really keep elongating the trunk here. And now slowly we'll switch sides. So come back to knees bent, feet flat. And just to neutralize, reach your arms overhead and stretch out both arms and both sides of your trunk. And then loop the strap over the left heel and reach the left foot up towards the ceiling. Maintain the long trunk here, elbows wide, shoulders down towards the mat. Slide the right leg long. Roll the right thigh in so the right inner thigh is pinning down towards the floor, and pull that left thigh away from the left side of the abdomen so your whole trunk is very long. Both sides of your abdomen are long. Pull the outer left hip away from the left waist. Lengthen your spine upwards anatomically from bottom spine to top spine. Lengthen. Extend through your legs. Give some energy to your heels. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can start to pull your left shin towards your face. But stay long in the abdomen. Stay grounded in your right thigh. Stretch open the backs of the knees. Keep the chest open and the shoulders down towards the floor. Breathing here as you stretch. And then bend your knees. Feet flat on the floor. Reach your arms overhead. A deep breath here as you lengthen through your trunk. Let your pelvis rest in neutral. And then roll over to your side and come up. Now we'll practice Supta Baddha Konasana. So have your bolster lengthwise on your mat with a folded blanket on the far end of the bolster for a pillow. Set up the bolster so it's right behind you, but with some space between your buttocks and the bolster. And with a blanket also resting by your feet, start to lay back along the bolster. And then you'll wrap the blanket over your feet and bunch the blanket up so that it supports your knees and outer thighs. And as you lay back on the bolster, find a nice place for the folded blanket so that your neck and head are supported. And relax your arms out to the sides. Make sure that there is some space between where your buttocks is touching the floor and the bolster. So the lower spine, lower back area should be free. You don't want the bolster supporting too much of your lower back here. And make sure the flesh of your buttocks is releasing down and under you, so the low back is long. And take as much time as you need here to settle down, find the right position, get comfortable. And release here and relax into the support of the props. Deepen your breath. And you can play with finding the right arm position, maybe a little more towards the legs, maybe arms can be around at shoulder height. Relax your limbs, relax your trunk. Deepen and smooth out and slow down your breathing here. Smooth, slow exhalations.